Hey everybody, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Well folks, it's time once again to talk about the Swan Princess. And this episode requires a little backstory. Last year, in 2019, was a very special year for the franchise due to it reaching its 25th anniversary. Not only did I, along with my sister, attend the magical pink carpet event in Los Angeles to watch the first movie in HD, but I became the very first featured fan on the Swan Princess website. And while that was a very special honor, I'm still curious as to why. Also, that was the very same year when the 9th movie, Kingdom of Music, was released, where Odette was hosting a music festival to celebrate her daughter Elise's 16th birthday. At the same time, Odette and Derek were trying to help Princess Maylie save her boyfriend Chen from a dragon transformation, while Elise was stuck in a love triangle between Maylie's twin brother, Prince Lee, and the tulip farmer Lucas. But in the end, Lee not only brought Elise and Lucas together, but he also broke Chen's dragon curse by surrendering true love. So, I may want to consider this as one of my favorite Swan Princess movies. However, the ending did go up on a cliffhanger, which was leading up to a 10th movie that I've been waiting breathlessly all throughout 2020 to blog. And now that it's finally made its DVD release, let's get started. Released to digital on August 4th and to DVD on September 10th, 2020, the movie is The Swan Princess 10, A Royal Wedding. So, let's get started. Picking up where the 9th movie left off, Princess Odette and her husband, Prince Derek, accompany the beautiful and kind Princess Maylie, who is hoping to marry her one true love, Chen. Upon their arrival in Cathay, they quickly discover that there's evil afoot. The evil sorceress, Fang, has once again cast an evil spell, this time turning Maylie into an old woman, and she plans to marry Chen herself. With the wedding quickly approaching, it is up to Maylie's twin brother, Prince Lee, along with Odette and the rest of her royal friends, to break the curse so the real Princess Maylie can marry Chen and live happily ever after. So, what do I think of the movie? Well, this movie really surprised me, and do I enjoy it? Well, yeah, I do. But to further explain why, let's move on to Mustang notes. This film was the second Swan Princess movie to get a primary digital release, the first being The Swan Princess, A Royal Mystery. Thankfully, like that movie, a limited number of DVDs are available on the Swan Princess website, which were released on September 10th, 2020. However, there was a little error during the shipment. According to an email that I received and one of Eden Young's videos on YouTube, there was a DVD mix-up caused by the manufacturers. But I'm happy that the problem was fixed while I was on vacation in Morro Bay during the final September weekend. As for the animation, well, to me, Richard Rich and his team at Nest Entertainment and Streetlight Animation have deeply improved ever since the Christmas movie. And I like that the film mostly takes place in the Empire of Cathay, which in my opinion does great at capturing the feeling and environment of China. By the way, for those who are wondering about Elise and Lucas, well, sadly, they're absent in this movie due to them said to be in Borromeo for the Tulip Festival. But thankfully, Elise does make a small cameo in a photograph in Uberta's scrapbook. As for the story itself, well, while it is very thought-provoking, mysterious, and enchanting, it feels kind of familiar. Not only does it have plot points from a few of the past movies in the franchise, but for some reason, it kind of feels like My Little Pony: A Canterlot Wedding with a little bit of Howl's Moving Castle. But thankfully, that doesn't affect my enjoyment of the movie. Also, there's a scene that foreshadows the upcoming spin-off series, The Jean Bob Show. Also, there were a few scenes that had me on the edge of my seat, and in my opinion, the freakiest part of the movie is when Odette and Derek are attacked by a huge spider in Fang's lair. Sheesh, what is up with fantasy movies and giant spiders? Also, in my personal opinion, the musical score by Jay Bateman is really beautiful, and like the animation, the music does capture the feeling of Chinese culture. And also, speaking of music, let's move on to the song numbers. First is The Swallow, which is a poem written and recited by Odette. In my eyes, this poem is very enchanting and emotional, and the way Odette reads it really tugs at my heartstrings. Plus, I think the visuals of Maylie, Lee, and Chen as swallows is just so beautiful. And I like that Odette's swan form makes an appearance in this. Also, at the same time, the poem kind of makes me think of The Nightingale by Hans Christian Andersen, which I read a long time ago during my 4th grade age. Next is Home a Hero, which is sung in Chinese and English by Prince Lee, Chen, and Prince Derek. To me, this song is pretty similar to Prince Lee's Goodbye song from Kingdom of Music. But, while that was an emotional love song, this song feels more like a friendship / marchingkins / victory song. And even if I can't understand the Chinese language, I think this is a catchy tune, and it makes me want to sing along with it. Finally, there's In Time, which is sung by a disguised Queen Uberta and Chen. To me, this song is very beautiful, emotional, and romantic, and it really makes me shed a tear while feeling Maylie and Chen's love for each other. Anyway, now that we got Mustang notes out of the way, let's move on to the characters and the voice actors who brought it to life. Our heroes, Odette and Derek, are once again voiced by Nina Herzog and Yuri Lowenthal. You know, in my opinion, Derek and Odette's roles in this movie are kind of similar to their daughter Elise and their future son-in-law Lucas's roles in Royally Undercover. After realizing that Fang's tea leaves were lying about Uberta being sick, Derek and Odette must investigate the Cathay Palace and find out what Fang is up to, while incognito. To me, Odette and Derek make a great team while making an investigation plan with their friends. Also, I really like their Chinese-style outfits that they wear for a majority of the movie. Next is the movie's bride-to-be, Princess Maylie. voiced by the current Sailor Moon, Stephanie Sheh. In the beginning of the film, Maylie is scared and nervous that her father won't accept hers and Chen's love. But after the Emperor gives his blessing, Maylie becomes overjoyed. However, for a majority of the movie, Maylie is transformed into an old woman. Similar to what happened to Sophie in Howl's Moving Castle. The only way Maylie's curse can be broken is if someone would believe her. To me, Maylie is still a sweet and innocent princess, and I really like her friendship chemistry with Odette. But while Maylie is cursed, I can feel her pain, suffering, and heartbreak, which makes her very sympathetic. But thankfully, Maylie does get some help from her tutor, Rue, and a young girl named Yu Yan, whom I'll get to later. Next we have Maylie's fiance, Chen, voiced by Alexander Chen. To me, Chen is a handsome and likable character, and a great artist. And, like his bride-to-be, Chen becomes happy that the Emperor gave them his blessing. However, it's revealed that Chen was cursed to be a dragon because Fang wanted him for herself. And during this movie, Chen is easily fooled into believing that Fang, in the form of Maylie, is his bride-to-be, until Odette and Derek reveal the truth. Next we have Queen Uberta and Lord Rogers, voiced by Catherine Levine and Joseph Madrano. They were sent by Scully to assist Odette and Derek during their investigation. So, since they can't be seen as themselves due to Fang reading Uberta's scrapbook, Rogers has to disguise himself as an inventor / talent agent named C.J. Pennypacker, and Uberta dresses as an opera star named Madame Lacroix. In my eyes, they do pretty well while helping keep the Emperor and Fang occupied, but at the same time, I kind of think they're a bit over the top and silly sometimes. But on the other hand, I like Roger's flying carriage, which is operated by a giant hot air balloon. Odette's animal friends, Speed, Puffin, and John Bob, are voiced by Doug Stone, Gardner Jass, and Clayton James. Their job in this movie is to search throughout the entire palace and look for any sort of evidence as to what Fang may be up to. Later, while in Fang's lair, they find a holographic picture of Chen and Fang kissing each other. In my eyes, while these three are still lovable and humorous supporting characters, there are times when they get into some weird and crazy situations. Like when the royal chef, Gongfa, tries to cook them, which feels kind of like a scene that came right out of The Little Mermaid, or when they get caught in a random arcade-style chase scene. Next is Maylie's twin brother and the music festival champion, Prince Lee, voiced by Francis Huang. In my eyes, Lee is a great character, and in this movie, he makes a very supportive prince while helping Odette, Derek, and the others find out what Fang may be up to. One of my favorite moments is when Lee shows Odette and Derek the sorcerer's flame, which is hidden in the underground cave. And this flame is the source of Fang's evil magic. Plus, I like that Li is the one who defeats the villain by dousing out the flame. The Divine Emperor of Cathay is voiced by George Tang. To me, while he's strict, serious, and traditional, he cares deeply for his children and his people. Plus, I'm happy that, after listening to Odette's Swallow poem, the Emperor gives Maylie and Chen his blessing. Later, after Li informs that Fang wants Chen to herself, the Emperor becomes very disappointed, even after seeing Fang's evilness during the wedding. Also, I like that during the end of the movie, the Emperor decides to change his ways, starting with having his meals in the kitchen and letting his children marry whomever their hearts desire. Next we come to the new main villain for the film, Fang, voiced by Lena Yi. Now, as I said in my blog of Kingdom of Music last year, she didn't seem to do anything to conflict with the plot. But I also theorized that she was responsible for turning Chen into a dragon. And after witnessing this movie's opening prologue, I realized that I was absolutely right. Anyway, in my opinion, Fang is really dark, sneaky, spiteful, manipulative, and sometimes a clever sorceress. Plus, there are times when she gives herself a score or a rating, like she's her own critic. Now, as I said earlier, her reason for cursing Chen was because she wanted him for herself, and that she hoped that Maylie would give Chen up for somebody else. But Fang didn't realize that Prince Li could also break her curse when he sacrificed his love for Elise. Anyway, Fang's backup plan is to transform Maylie into an old woman and turn herself into Maylie in order to fool everybody. And to throw Odette and Derek off her tracks, she lies that her tea leaves reveal that Queen Uberta is sick. Also, while Odette and Derek are onto her scheme, she rotates the combination so that the sorcerer's flame won't be easily put out. She silences Maylie when she comes close to telling Odette her true identity. She traps Odette and Derek inside a mural, and during the wedding, Fang hopes that once Chen lifts the wedding veil and their eyes meet, the real Maylie will die. Which seems kind of similar to what Rothbard did in the first film when he made Bridget look like Odette in order to trick Derek into making a vow of everlasting love to the wrong princess. Also, not only is Fang the second female Swan Princess villain, first being Zelda in The Mystery of the Enchanted Treasure, but she's also the second villain to transform into a monstrous animal. But while Rothbart's great animal form was like a mix of a wolf, a bat, a lizard, and a hawk, Fang becomes a giant purple, fire-breathing fang snake. And I don't know about you guys, but I think that form fits China and Asia's culture pretty well. Finally, we come to Yu Yan, voiced by Rachini Lumino. To me, Yu Yan seems to be another likable character, due to her kindness and helpful personality. And I think she's very pretty. Not only does she help Gong Fa in the kitchen, but she also assists poor people in the market, as well as helping people who are weak, sick, or old. Plus, I like when she helps an old Maylie when she grows weak. Also, I like that Yu Yan becomes Prince Li's love interest, and when she helps him extinguish the sorcerer's flame to defeat Fang. And now for my final words. Overall, The Swan Princess 10, A Royal Wedding, was a surprising movie in this franchise. And while part of it was a tad unexpected, the characters are still wonderful, the animation is slightly improved, the location in Cathay is simply breathtaking, and I like that it stays true to Chinese culture, which is well respected and executed. The musical score and the song numbers are both catchy and romantic, and while the story may be a little reminiscent to a few of the past movies, as well as a couple other things, it still surprised me with a lot of charm, humor, twists, as well as a few freaky and thought-provoking moments that you'd never see coming. And I would like to wish Princess Maylie and Chen a happy marriage. And I just hope next time Elise and Lucas are next to be married. As for my rating for this movie, I'll give it a 90% out of 100. Also, if Richard Rich, Jared Brown, Selden Young, and Eden Young are watching this, I would like to thank them for sending me this beautiful animation cell and this certificate. And I promise that my top 10 Swan Princess movies will be uploaded to YouTube this November. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to join me for my next episode, where we finally begin 2020's Nightmare Month! Starting with a 3D DreamWorks short starring a famous ogre, Mustang Power.